Still in studio with us is Athletic Director from Lakeland College, Al Rogan, and also the President of the CCAA. We have more to talk about on CCAA matters, but first we should check in on our student athletes heading into the 2019-2020 season. The 2019 season that we've just finished a couple of months ago certainly was still a success. You didn't have as many teams go to a national championship that you wanted, but you had plenty of medaling at the ACAC level, and generally speaking, everyone was pretty competitive. You almost had all four court sports make playoffs, which would have been a big momentous occasion for you guys, of course. What's the prospect look like heading into this year? I know you had said before when I last talked to you, you're not going to host a championship for the first time in a long time. What else is going on in terms of the teams and the events?
Yeah, so talking with some of the coaches, or most of the coaches, recruiting is going really well. This year we've actually split our men's and women's soccer teams. We've actually hired a women's soccer coach to take over the women's program, and he's out there working hard to recruit student athletes to come to Lakeland here this fall. A lot of our other programs, they inform me they're pretty much done recruiting for the fall. They seem pretty happy with the talent they're bringing in, and they believe they're going to be fairly competitive. A lot of returning student athletes. With our agreement that we just forged with Athabasca University, it's going to allow our student athletes to stick around for more than a couple of years. We'll be able to have them here for 3, 4, and sometimes 5 years now. More student athletes, which will definitely make our teams more competitive moving forward. We're adding an athletic therapist to our staff, which will hopefully keep our kids healthy throughout the entire year, and work on that process. We're hoping that this upcoming year will be, continue to elevate our programs, and hopefully we'll have all of our teams going to the conference championships. Like I said, last year our men's volleyball team, last set of the last day, just didn't quite get there, but much improved from the previous year, which is great to see. And then this past year was probably our best year for academics, with our collective amount of teams totaling over a 3.0 GPA out of 4, which is pretty impressive.
Which always goes against the cliche that athletes don't make good students. I mean, it's really been disproven. It really has been disproven for a long time now. But more and more people out in the community are starting to see the results of that, and also by the community engagement. Absolutely.
Like our student athletes are figuring it out too, where they a lot of them are coming here on scholarship and partial or full scholarships, and these kids are taking advantage of that, where they're able to get a pretty reduced cost education and get to play a sport they love to play. And it also helps us when we see numbers like that to show people, you're right, these kids are here for an education as well as to compete in a sport they love. And we're getting more and more of our kids out in the community doing stuff, whether it's, we have one of our student athletes running a beach volleyball league this summer again, and the numbers have just elevated from last year. Coaching club, getting engaged in schools. Our kids are doing a ton of stuff in the community, which is really good to see our kids giving back to the community that supports them.
And really quickly, we only have about 30 seconds, but I want to touch on a very special ceremony last week for the CCAA, putting members into the Hall of Fame, and you had the privilege of handing out those awards. One of the people honored was the late Phil Allen, who I know many people in the community know.
Absolutely. Phil was an amazing individual. He basically built the men's basketball program here at Lakeland, started from the very beginning, and his greatest impact, especially coming from the gentleman who introduced him, Avery, was that it wasn't about wins and losses in his world. It was more about impacting young men and making them better people as they move through life, and then giving them the skills to be contributors in society moving on. So yeah, it was an incredible night, incredible ceremony, and seeing people who contributed to the CCAA at the national level being acknowledged for their accomplishments and what they gave back.
And of course, certainly awesome to see Phil Allen acknowledged as well, and his widow on hand to receive the award. Thank you again for stopping in, Al, and we have more coming up on Prime Time Local News.